Hello, it's Wisdom Wednesdays. I am Ariana Newcomer, Dove Oracle Priestess, certified biofield tuning practitioner. And today's topic is a continuation of a piece I did a couple of weeks ago on God the Mother, which was inspired by a paragraph from Megan Watterson's book, Mary Magdalene Revealed. Sorry, a little brain freeze there. And I got a really, I was really angry response from one of my dear colleagues, a woman that I respect very much, real pushback against that paragraph where Megan Watterson was saying she thought it would be just as bad to call God Mother as to call God Father. And I mentioned that I have been using the word Mother Divine and Great Mother and talking about the divine as feminine for many years. I'm also a follower and student of Rihanna Eisler, who talks about partnership. And so instead of patriarchy versus matriarchy, in her philosophy, it's domination versus partnership. And using the word partnership takes the gender out of it, which can make it easier for a lot of men, frankly, to come into this different kind of culture, this different way of relating. So I like to use that terminology, but I also do like to use the words mother, divine, goddess, great mother, etc. when I am talking about the divine, because my sense of it is that it's very feminine. So my friend wrote that she found Watterson's statement appalling in its erasure of the brutality enforced on the basis of a male god and its sanction of male domination over women and earth, and its justification of the factual historical usurpation of women's culture, spiritual, political, and artistic leadership and creativity in past and present matriarchal cultures. And then she points out the history that there have been matriarchal cultures, which Rihanna Eisler also talks about in her books, the archaeological history that had been rewritten by the conquerors, so that there were partnership cultures, there were ancient cultures in which women held power, and they were peaceful. And some of those cultures are probably the ones that developed agriculture, that developed writing and such civilizational advances. So that extreme imbalance between male and female status, which the male god religions have tended to put into place. And one of the things that Watterson talks about in her book on Mary Magdalene is that in Jesus's time, it was a patriarchal culture. Women were considered inferior. And so it was really radical for him to take a woman into his organization, essentially, and to really partner with Mary Magdalene, which is probably what he actually did. And after Jesus's death, some of the other apostles, Peter especially, really decided to take her out, essentially, and to remove her from the hierarchy of the developing Christian church. And her teachings were entirely different than the teachings that we have come to know as traditional. So Mary Magdalene's gospel was removed from the Bible, along with other books that talked about different things that the patriarchal culture of the time didn't want to have in there. So the original Christianity was much more about being in partnership and being in love with each other. But another thing that my friend pointed out in her email to me was that, and this is interesting. I have some other dear colleagues who really are passionate about matriarchy and believe that that is our true way forward. that we need to bring women back into the centers of power and take men out, because men are basically responsible for all of the evil in the world, which is kind of that's the way I read it. Perhaps that's not what these women actually mean. But she also said, when will women realize that the distinct powers of the female body mind are a blessing and responsibility of and to all women and for all our children, which is quite simply all of humanity? Women include men. And I believe she's saying just naturally, women include men. They are our children and respected partners in a matriarchal culture. Qualities of motherhood are to be emulated by men, that they may be more like mothers to all around them, a more learned characteristic for men than what comes more naturally for women. Now, this is an interesting thing to explore, because there is so much that is different in all kinds of ways amongst us as people, as who we are. How much testosterone anybody has, and women have testosterone too. Our bodies produce testosterone, and some men have more than others. And what does it actually do? And how do the characteristics of masculinity and femininity become expressed in the world? And there's an idea that, well, men are less emotional and more logical. But what if that's not actually true? What if the culture, the way men have been acculturated in the dominator culture, has stopped them from developing those natural aspects of themselves? So what if men have more natural ability to be in partnership with women and with nature? And that, again, it's the culture. And culture, my view is the culture has damaged men. The dominator culture has damaged men as much as it has damaged women. So these are all really interesting and deep questions and things to talk about and discuss. And the truth is that the hormones that we think of as human sex hormones, estrogen, testosterone, those exist in nature as well. They are everywhere in the plant world, in the natural world, all around us. Estrogen is probably believed to be an older molecule than testosterone, but those two molecules exist in nature also. And they play functions in the sexual reproduction of plants, just like they do with humans. So there's so much more to this topic. And what's most important is that we can come from a place of love and compassion. And the more we do our own inner work, so that we are actually looking at dealing with our shadow selves, the parts of ourselves that might want to be dominating or might want to be to hurt other people, the more we do our inner work and love and accept our inner parts and learn not to just splat things on other people, all of us, women and men, become more attuned to being in partnership. I also heard a little bit of an interview about a new book with the authors of a new book, which is called Testosterone, an Unauthorized Biography. And this was really interesting too, because they were exploring the ways that testosterone functions differently in different people. And so I think that we come to, again, that there's no one way. I love the statement from yoga. I used to be a yoga teacher many years ago. God is one, the paths are many. And so for me, I still love thinking of the divine as feminine. To me, that's enriching and nurturing and more validating than the old, white male bearded guy that I grew up with as a Protestant. And so, and then we have these other cultures too, where there are gods and goddesses, right? In the Hindu religion, there are many gods and goddesses, and ultimately they're all considered as aspects of self. So when we're worshiping Ganesha, or we're worshiping Kali, or we're worshiping Lakshmi, we're speaking to an aspect of self in a way. And I love that perspective too. So I think that the more we can broaden our perspective, the more we can open ourselves to listening and truly hearing each other, and really thinking about this coming into partnership and using the pronouns for the divine that most resonate for us. And I'm still going to use the Great Mother and the Divine Mother, and talk about the Holy Womb Chakra of Mother Divine as the center of all creation in the universe. That resonates and makes sense for me. What makes sense for you? What makes you come into that more centered place where you are aligned and you can radiate love into the world? This is our ultimate work, is radiating love into the world. How much more love can we radiate into the world? How much more cooperation can we create? How much more collaboration can we do? And how much less dominating, either being dominated or dominating, can we do? Can we find that equilibrium within self? And to do that, we have to be in partnership with ourselves first. We have to have the self-love piece. We have to have that inner tuning. And biofield tuning can really help with this, helping us become more tuned and attuned so that we can radiate more love into the world. I'd be delighted to help you do that with biofield tuning or private mentoring. Pop me a message here if you would like to talk about that. And I will see you next time.